Phil was in a very interesting position because, you know, he couldn't come in there and give up too much size to Ramy. Now, Ramy, between me and you guys, if I can talk to you guys kind of candidly without necessarily saying something that'll offend anyone on the record, you know, Ramy is, you know, the biggest bodybuilder and the biggest professional bodybuilder in the world. There's not any guy right now in that lineup that is bigger than Big Ramy, you know, and, you know, that's one thing that I think quietly behind the scenes, all of us understood. I definitely understood it, you know. So to go into a show thinking you're gonna, you know, out-muscle the biggest guy coming in there, you know, that's really not your game to play because he takes up a lot of real estate, you know. But I will also say this, you want to try to kill him on conditioning, but here's the problem. If he comes in condition, man, that's very difficult. Old school bodybuilding 101, you know, the bigger guy, you know, comes in big, but the smaller guy can win on conditioning. If the smaller guy stands next to the bigger guy and the bigger guy has an equal condition, it's the big guy all day, you know. So to me, and you know, I'm not the expert, I'm definitely not the judge. What I'm saying is to you guys, because I'm talking candidly, you know, Phil was in a precarious position because, you know, while preparing, you know, he doesn't want to, during his prep, he doesn't want to come in thinking condition, and just come in so small at the sacrifice of his size to play a really tight condition game and end up standing next to this guy and getting lost, you know, which sometimes can be a very easy thing to happen, you know. So, you know, in an effort, so he has to do something that's not a very easy thing to do, you know. He has to still come in condition. He still has to, you know, fire, you know, all cylinders on his condition game, you know. But then at the same time, you know, he can't allow himself to be shown up in any pose standing next to this guy and having it become very clearly apparent that he is, you know, giving up 20 pounds, you know, in all, particularly when we're talking about a seven year dominance. You know what I mean? Dominance is, it's one thing to win, you know, a show. You know, okay, these guys are close here or there, but when you talk about a seven year run, and we're talking about needing to be just dominant. You know, when Ronnie Coleman, you know, when we saw the Ronnie Coleman dynasty, you know, Ronnie Coleman was like light years above everybody else. Not to say anything negative about the stars of the sport. What's up, India? What's going on? Another question about, you know, I don't want to say the name, but, you know, Ronnie Coleman was light years above everybody back then. Then you had Jay, you know, trying to push it a bit, trying to push him. But those guys were right there, and then they still were light years ahead of the rest of the competition. Ronnie was dominant, man. He just was really dominant. I think what a part of that dominance is not allowing yourself to stand next to an athlete and he's just blowing you away in size and is equal to your condition. You know, so it's a very difficult game, you know, for Phil. You know, and a lot of times, you know, it can seem very easy to like bash him, but you know, the truth is, how can he not try to push things, you know, and they show up because they have you know, results. You know what I mean? He's trying to play a very difficult game, and he's, you know, to date, been very successful at it. You know, the judges have been able to say, hey man, that's what it is. We will award that. You know? So that's my 2 cents on that. You know, I think that he's in a precarious position, and he had to do the best he could as far as play the size game enough where he could still stay, you know, sizable, that would allow him to stand next to some of these bigger guys that are coming. You had Ruli coming in this year. You know, I swear, you know, Ramy, Ruli, some of these guys are just on another level of size right now. You know what I mean? As much as, you know, we may talk about another time in the sport, you know, let's not forget that the criteria changes, you know, and a lot of the athletes from the golden age, if you stood them on stage next to, take away their name and take away the fact that they're looked at as legends, but if you stood a guy like that with that size next to one of the guys with the current crop today, I mean, we can talk about bubble guts and stuff, but the truth is, man, they get lost in just the size volume alone, you know. And part of being able to be scored well is your ability to be seen. If you can't get noticed in that lineup with sometimes just a quarter turn or two, you know, it becomes very hard to try to make up the points, you know, in the call outs later on in the rounds, you know.